So today we'll be seeing the preface of the Bhagavad Gita. So we know Bhagavad Gita finished with a clear-cut message, the most confidential message of always thinking about Krishna, becoming his devotee, offering obeisances, worshipping him, and surrendering to him and follow his instructions, or surrendering to his pure devotee representative and follow his instructions. A few days back, I was in this university program, and one student asked this question as a follow up to the bhajan that we sang. We sang a song written by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Nadiya Godru Mein Nityananda Mahajan. So that song ends like this. Jive doya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sara. What it means is to give the jiva. Jiva means the living entities. To give the jiva the holy name of Krishna. To give the benefit of chanting or hearing or making them chant the holy name of Krishna. Jive doya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sara. It is the essence of all religions. Sarva Dharma. If there is one essence that you can take from all religions, from all kinds of dharma, that is to give Krishna's holy name. So this student was very curious because we sang that song. It was the first time he was coming to the program. And because people usually come from multiple backgrounds, and Krishna's name appears to be sectarian. So why first his question probably could be into two parts. One is, why is Krishna's name being recommended for all dharmas, irrespective of which dharma you are following? And second is, why the name of God? The dharma, if that is that simple, why it has to be so big? Why the Vedas have to be so big? If it is just the essence is to chant the holy name of Krishna, why the Vedas have to be so big? Why it has to cater to so many topics? Why Bhagavad Gita itself caters to so many topics? So that was the other question. So the answer to the first question, the implicit question that he has, is that Krishna's name is not sectarian. Krishna's name, or if there is a bona fide God who is presented in a particular religious scripture, we accept that also as a bona fide way of chanting the holy name of God. But we don't claim that Krishna belongs to Hindus. Krishna is a universal God. That is why Prabhupada, instead of naming his institution as International Society for God Consciousness, he named it as a specific name, Krishna Consciousness. Because Krishna is the name of God. We are personalists, we are not impersonalists. Our God has a name, He has a form, He has an address, He has activities, He has likes, dislikes. And Prabhupada was given advice by many people, you should have called it as God consciousness. Then many people would get attracted. But Prabhupada was obviously following a transcendental system of disciplic succession. And then he explained that no, there has to be name of God. And Krishna is the most appropriate name of God. And it is not sectarian. It only means all attractive. Which religion, which religious scripture does not agree with our conception of God being all attractive? So everyone has to agree. So where is the question of being sectarian? So, and in your religious scripture, if there is a particular name of God recommended, yes, you go ahead and chant that name. So that is about Krishna's name being not sectarian. And the other question is about why the uh, why it is such a simple instruction, the essence, why it cannot be such a simple essence. Just chant the holy name of the Lord, holy name of God, or give the holy name of God, distribute the holy name of God, is the essence of all religious scriptures or all dharma. What does it mean? How can it be that simple? Then how can the Vedas be so big? So what we have to understand is the Vedas are like kalpataru. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. The Vedas are compared to like kalpavriksha, wish fulfilling trees. And it has been written to cater to multiple varied mentalities of people. There are people at different levels of consciousness. And Krishna has provided a system where everybody, irrespective of their consciousness, can accept Vedas as authority and come under the regulation of the Vedas so that their material necessities can be fulfilled in that particular way, and also gradually they progress by following that regulation. It is just like a superstore, supermarket, a Safeway or whatever. A supermarket, it has to cater to masses of people. So it carries so many items, food items, grocery items, cosmetics, and so on and so forth. Thousands of items. Even though that is not what the people actually need for their progress. There may be, I'm just giving a crude example. There may be only one or two things people actually need for their progress, but supermarket caters to all kinds of people. Similarly, the Vedas, if it talks only about Krishna's name or devotional service, what about this multitude of people who have this different sets of mentality? So they cannot come to the point of Vedas. They cannot come under the regulation of the Vedas. So that is why the Vedas cater to all kinds of subject matters. Even in Bhagavad Gita, people are oriented towards performing karma. They are attracted, they are attached to doing work, attached to their fruits. Some people are attached to gnana. Some people are attached to meditation. Some people are just being inquisitive. So Krishna wants to grab the attention of all these people and finally tell them the conclusive um, or essence of Bhagavad Gita or all the Vedic literature. That is why you will see so much volume of Vedic literature that is available. And Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Sukhamukhad Amrutadrava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavata Rasamalayam Muhur Aho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. So this the Vedic literature is very vast and it is compared to like Nigama Kalpataru, wish fulfilling tree. And the mature fruit of that tree, Galitam Phalam, this Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavata means anything which is related to Bhagavan, the description of Bhagavan, the pastimes of Bhagavan, the devotees of Bhagavan. So the highest fruit of or the essence of Vedic literature is to think about Bhagavan, discuss about Bhagavan, chant about Bhagavan, hear about Bhagavan, remember Bhagavan. And the same thing is told by Krishna as the essence of Bhagavad Gita or the most confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mami vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. How can we always think of Krishna if the most confidential knowledge is to always think of Krishna? How can we always think of Krishna? The best means by which we can always think of Krishna is chanting his holy names. Therefore, chanting of the holy name becomes the Jive Doya Sarva Dharmasar, is the essence of all religions. Because just by chanting the holy name, who is non different from Krishna, we immediately associate with Krishna, we immediately think of Krishna. Therefore, it becomes the essence of all religions. That's why the Acharya's words, the Acharya's poems, Acharya's songs are also Vedic literature. We should not treat it separate from the Vedic literature. It is Smriti. Shruti, Smriti. Shruti is what is heard, and Smriti means what is remembered. Hearing, chanting, remembering. So both are important, or three are important. So the Acharya's words or Acharya's songs, anything the Acharya utters is to be taken as though it is coming from the Supreme Lord Himself. So that is why it became the essence. So that is how we should implement. Once we learned what is the most confidential knowledge, now what is the delay? We should immediately start towards that aim. And then Krishna also helps. If you are not on that level of always thinking of Krishna, what you should do, you should practice Abhyasa Yoga. The principles of Krishna consciousness. Take up certain number of rounds and increase it gradually. Remember Krishna at least during those number of rounds that you have taken a vow for, and gradually increase. So if you cannot even do that, take up service of Krishna and start remembering Krishna, and then aspire to chant his holy names. If you cannot even do that, if you are engaged in outside work, give the results of that activities. These are all mentioned in the 12th chapter, by the way. So this is a method given by Krishna to raise our platform to that of most confidential platform that Krishna has set in the end of Bhagavad Gita. So now we have finished that, and Prabhupada in the preface, he gives some interesting details about how his Bhagavad Gita in the present form has unfolded. Initially, there was a struggle to find a printer because the printers were looking to print only commercial literature and literature which they think that it can fetch them money and fame. So nobody was interested in printing Bhagavad Gita. But miraculously, they find one printer. We'll go into the story later. By the empowerment of Prabhupada, Brahmananda Prabhu goes and meets some printer who actually at that time would be looking for a good translation of Bhagavad Gita and commentary to print. So they go ahead and print that. But because these printers, they have certain requirements. That is why you see many books that are printed today, they have certain standard format. They have certain number of pages. You will see standard number of pages, 200 to 220, 230 pages, or 250 between that number. And based on the popularity of the concept and of the author, the price also varies. So they have so many requirements. So they came up with the requirement, oh, this is too voluminous a book. Why don't you cut it short? So they cut short the Sanskrit, the transliterations, the word-to-word meanings, and even chunks of purport Prabhupada has written. So it became an abridged form of Bhagavad Gita, which Prabhupada was not very satisfied with. But people started taking notice. People started loving even that book, and the demand started growing. And eventually, they were able to come to the point, and even the publishers themselves were convinced and were eager to print an enlarged and the original precise edition of Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada had written. Actually, Prabhupada, when he went to the West, he went with the manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita. But, it was stolen. when he was living with these hippies. His typewriter and his manuscripts were all stolen. So Prabhupada had to write the Bhagavad Gita again, taking so much of labor of love. So of course, all these are the pastimes of the Lord, the exchange with his pure devotee, which only shows that even on the path of pure devotional service, don't expect a steady and smooth ride. You may have to face so many obstacles. That is to show everyone that this world is a place of misery and this world is a place of triklesha, adhyatmik, adi bhautik, adi daivik. Don't consider yourself immune. Don't ask Krishna, oh, I am now a great devotee, why you are giving me troubles. That is the wrong mentality. So we should expect that there will be obstacles on this path, and we should be humble. We should think not a great devotee. We should think we are a mundane personality. Who am I to demand Krishna to get me freed from all obstacles like that? So anyway, so Prabhupada gets encouraged by the publishers with the invitation of printing the full-fledged Bhagavad Gita, and then he does it, and then it becomes very famous. And because he writes it as it is, Prabhupada is writing in this same preface that we read today. It is becoming famous throughout the younger generation, particularly. Even the elder generation also is taking note of it. How it is converting these youngsters into lovers of God, which was considered to be impossible in that day and age, especially when they were converting into hippies. And then for them to actually come to the platform of believing God and becoming lover of God and following somebody who is from Vedic background and who put certain regulations, and these people are following without any qualms, without any complaints, and not only following, they are enjoying it. So Prabhupada takes that as a sign of success, and then he gives the credit to his spiritual master, and then he says, if at all there is any of my credit, it is because I have not spoiled the intention of Krishna. I have not put my own words. I have presented it as it is. That's very important. Sometimes we try to please the patient. The doctor, if he tries to please the patient might be happy at that point. But will the disease be cured? The disease will not be cured. Only when the medicine is bitter, or when there is proper treatment by which the patient has to suffer or undergo so much of austerity in taking the medicine, only then you can expect the disease to go away. So the Acharya does not mince words. He does not try to satisfy the masses. He tries to present as it is, as Krishna is speaking, for the good of the world. So that is another point here Prabhupada is making. And so Prabhupada says here that the original starter of this movement is Krishna himself, who reinvigorated this 5,000 years back in the battle of Kurukshetra by speaking this to Arjuna. And Prabhupada also tells why he has to write another edition when Krishna's words themselves are quite clear. The reason is because, as I said yesterday, there were so many editions of the world, of so many commentators who tried to spoil the actual intent of Krishna. Like many times when manmana bhava madbhakto, that word is said, that line is said. So even the most prominent scholars and politicians of India who tried to interpret Bhagavad Gita give a wrong interpretation. So one time, what happened? This influential person in India, well-to-do person, he comes to Prabhupada and he says, Swamiji, I have a complaint. What is that complaint? Your disciple, one of your disciples, I was talking the other day, he's a Westerner, and of course, Prabhupada all had only Western disciples at that point, except one or two Indian disciples. And then gradually their number also increased. So this influential person, he said, Swamiji, your disciple said this person XYZ, I'm not saying the name here, but that XYZ is one of the most important personalities in India at that time. So this XYZ is spoiled the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. Your disciple is claiming that this XYZ has committed a great blunder and does not know Bhagavad Gita. And not only that, your disciple said that you said that like that. Swamiji said, our spiritual master said like that, and I'm repeating those words. And so Prabhupada said, you know, if my disciple says something that I have not said, then he is a rascal. Not that XYZ is a rascal. So Prabhupada chastises his disciple and then asks him to sit down. And he talks to him and he asks one of his disciples to bring a copy of Bhagavad Gita written by this XYZ. And then he starts picking out a verse and starts reading the commentary. And there it says, Man Manabhav Mad Bhakto. Then the commentary says, we should not surrender to Krishna, but we should surrender to something unborn within Krishna. So Prabhupada starts speaking. See, that is why I say these are all rascals. And starts pounding on the wrong interpretation that this person has done. That is why Krishna says, all these people are mudas. Namam dushkritino muda. They don't surrender to me. They speak whatever nonsense they want. They push forward their agenda. They want themselves to be famous. They don't want Krishna to come to the forefront. They want to kill Krishna. So that is why I repeat Krishna's words. These are all fools and rascals. And then this person now comes to his senses. Oh, yeah, what he says makes sense. And then they have a conversation, meaningful conversation, and then the person goes away. So the point is, there is so much of Mayavada influence in almost all the commentaries that were existing before Prabhupada. And they were deviating the mindsets of people in whatever way possible. And nobody was actually come to the point of understanding the most confidential knowledge of Krishna, which is to become devotee of Krishna. So whoever went to preach Bhagavad Gita in the West before Prabhupada, practically they came back without any success because they were all preaching the wrong message. So that is what Prabhupada is calling to the forefront. The Bhagavad Gita, if at all there is any credit to him, it is because he is presented as it is. It is because he has presented the words of his spiritual master. And he is giving his credit, all credit to his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned to be careful hearing Bhagavad Gita or anything about God, Krishna consciousness from unauthorized men. The words may be sweet. The words may be soothing to our conditional existence. But it is just like a patient cannot determine, or patient should not rely on just a sweet medicine. The patient should rely on the curable medicine. And that can be given by only a bona fide doctor. So the onus is on the patient to do his hard work in finding that bona fide doctor. Be sincere in finding, and Krishna will reciprocate. And we don't have to do further research because we know Srila Prabhupada is one such bona fide doctor, and he has given voluminous literature. We have enough literature to focus our brains, our minds on. We don't need to find out who will be that authorized person. We already have the authorized person from whom we can hear this message. So tomorrow we will finish the preface. So this sets the tone for the spirit with which we should read Bhagavad Gita, with the correct attitude, and we are also confident that we will be reading the commentary from the correct person. I'll stop here. Any other questions, comments on what we discussed?